When I moved into the old townhouse, I was warned about the mirror.
It's original to the home,
The landlord said.
but people find it unsettling.
The mirror stood tall in the hallway, gilded with intricate carvings that seemed to writhe in the dim light. I didn't see the problem. It was just a mirror. The first few days were uneventful. The mirror was just another antique in an otherwise creaky house. I'd pass it on my way to bed or stop briefly to check my reflection before heading out. But as the days went on, I started to notice small, inexplicable things. My reflection seemed delayed, as if the mirror was struggling to keep up. It was subtle at first, barely perceptible. I'd tilt my head, and a fraction of a second later my reflection would follow. At first, I chalked it up to exhaustion. Work had been stressful, and unpacking was a task that seemed never-ending. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. But as the days passed, the delays became more pronounced. It wasn't just a fraction of a second anymore. Sometimes it was nearly a full moment. I'd turn my head, only to catch my reflection still facing forward before snapping to match me. I laughed nervously, convincing myself it was just my imagination. Stress, maybe moving into a new place can be disorienting. But over the next week, the strangeness escalated. My reflection began to feel independent. It would smile when I wasn't smiling. Its eyes seemed sharper, more aware. One night, as I passed the mirror, I saw my reflection wave at me. I hadn't raised my hand. Terrified, I decided to avoid the mirror altogether. I covered it with an old sheet, hoping that out of sight would mean out of mind. But the more I tried to ignore it, the more it seemed to call to me. The hallway felt colder near it, the air heavier. The sheet would slip off during the night, no matter how securely I tucked it in place. One night, unable to resist, I stood in front of the mirror and stared. My reflection stared back, her movements just a fraction of a second behind mine. My breathing quickened as I raised a trembling hand. My reflection did the same, but her expression twisted into a sinister grin. "Why don't you stay a while?" she said, her voice soft, yet echoing unnaturally. Her lips didn't match the words. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. Her hand pressed against the glass, and the surface rippled like water. I turned to run, but the hallway stretched endlessly before me, the lights dimming until only the glow from the mirror remained. Panic surged through me as I looked back at the mirror. My reflection was stepping forward, emerging from the rippling glass. She moved with a predatory grace, her eyes gleaming with a malevolent light. "You've had your turn," she whispered. "Now it's mine." I screamed, clawing at the walls as the air grew colder, thick with an oppressive weight. My legs refused to move, as if some unseen force held me in place. She reached out, her hand grazing my arm, and a searing cold shot through my body. The world spun, and everything went dark. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor of the hallway, staring at the ceiling. The mirror was dark, its surface empty. My reflection was gone. I stumbled to my feet, my entire body trembling. The house felt wrong, off, as though it was no longer mine. When I finally dared to look into the mirror again, I saw her. She was in my bedroom, sitting on my bed, brushing her hair with my brush. She looked at me and smiled, a cold, knowing smile that sent shivers down my spine. She's living my life now. I see her every time I pass the mirror, going through the motions as if she's always been me. She wears my clothes, talks to my friends, and sleeps in my bed. And I'm here, trapped in the cold, dark void behind the glass, watching her take everything that was mine. Sometimes, late at night, she looks directly into the mirror. Directly at me. "Why don't you stay a while?" she whispers, and I realize she's waiting for me to try to escape. Because she knows I never will.